Hello everyone, it's Gavin Seim. Let's talk about liberty and let's talk about justice, or injustice rather, in the courtroom. Going to give you an update today of what happened in the courtroom in Douglas County regarding the charges against myself and my dad, Grant. Now, this was not the trial yet. We're kind of going through the meat grinder of justice here, working toward that direction. And we had a hearing today regarding some motions and things like that. Now, our attorney, Stephen Pidgeon, presented some beautiful Napstad motions for dismissal that really laid out the facts that what happened in the courtroom was a case of us acting in self-defense as court officials came in, county officials came in, and illegally removed people from the courtroom without due cause, without due process of law, and in total violation of our rights, and of course, the Washington State and the United States Constitutions. Now, our attorney laid out in these 30-plus page arguments and these motions that were presented to the court in a very John Adams-esque sense. I mean, they were really beautiful to read because they got down to the nuts and bolts of liberty and the Constitution and validated, in fact, with legal solidarity that, in fact, the county officials are the ones that are acting as criminals, that they are the ones that are breaking the law. Now, of course, we're talking about Douglas County courts, so law or fact or justice has virtually nothing to do with what happens in these courts, and we saw that today as we came down and presented these motions and appeared before the pro tem judge McConaughey out in Douglas County District Court. Now, this is not actually an elected judge. This is a lawyer that they've appointed as a judge. In fact, he's a lawyer that is known in the past for defending the county against lawsuits when the county unlawfully convicted people and abused people, in particular in the Wenatchee witch hunts back in the 90s. Different story, but one worth looking up. So we presented the motions, and the judge denied the motions, and we even presented things relating to other issues that are going on. For example, we have records request in to try and get emails that could be pertinent to our case. And while the county is working on this, the public records officer is telling us, well, this could take 10 to 12 weeks. That's going to put it after our trial, which is coming, at this point, looking like it's coming in mid-April. So we moved to have the trial put out so we could get these records, and after reviewing, the judge says, well, I don't really see where those records are pertinent to you. What this means is the judge gets to decide what records are pertinent to my defense, what facts are pertinent to my defense. The judge in Douglas County actually acts more as an assistant to the prosecutor, I think would be a more accurate assertion here. It's more like he's there to help the prosecutor and back him up. However, our attorney knows how to deal with him. He's throwing some serious stuff at the county, and the heat is getting cranked up a bit. In fact, they have changed now the prosecutor to a more senior prosecutor because I think they're feeling the seriousness of this situation. And they did commit crimes. We were acting in self-defense. They assaulted liberty. They assaulted justice. Sheriff Harvey Jesdahl and Judge Judith McCauley, along with many other county officials, were complicit to that. And it's very serious what they have done. As you've probably already seen in the courtroom video that I released from the day that it happened. If you haven't seen that, you definitely need to go see that. So go over to the link and check that out. Bottom line is, what we saw in the court was the typical abuse of justice from Douglas County, but the bigger picture here is that I think we see this happening all over America. These kangaroo courts where facts and justice and law have no real merit, where your absolute right to self-defense, your right to be innocent until proven guilty is pretty much out the window. You walk through those doors and you leave your rights at the doormat, and you are guilty until proven innocent, and you will present the evidence and the facts of your defense in the way that they approve of, not in the way that you feel you need to defend yourself. That's what's happening in Douglas County. That's what's happening all over America, and that's what we have to stand up to start taking back our courts and taking back liberty. After the proceedings today, my lawyer said what we call this is the train to Auschwitz. That's because it doesn't matter what we present before this judge. He's going to side with the prosecution. Had we had any semblance of just judges in this county, of just officials, First of all, this never would have happened. Second of all, it would have been immediately dismissed after these charges were laid on us. In any case, that's an update of what's happening in Douglas County. It's a pattern of what we see happening all over America, but we're not stopping. We're not playing out. We are standing up to them. It's time to start standing up to tyranny and restoring liberty in America. So keep the message going. If you can help out, if you can pitch in, even if you can donate $5, head over to the link and pitch in and help us out. The legal expenses and all the other related expenses are mounting up, but we are taking on Douglas County, and we need to start holding our officials accountable. This is an important reminder, too, if you're ever on a jury, if you know people that are going to be on a jury. The jury is like the fourth branch of government. The jury overrides the judge. And while the judge in the courtroom likes to infer to a jury, the prosecutor likes to infer, oh, your only job is to interpret the law as we tell it to you, as the judge tells it to you. Your only job is to obey the judge. That's actually completely not true. And if you're ever in a jury, you absolutely need to remember that. The jury has an absolute right to nullification. In fact, this is one of the reasons we fought the American Revolution, was for the right to nullification in the courtroom. What that means is that the jury's job is not to say, here's what the state says the law is by their interpretation and interpret it by that. The jury's job is to interpret the law in relation with the act that was committed and whether the law is being applied justly and whether they think the person should be punished for that, and to make their ruling based on that and to nullify or find not guilty regardless of what the judge or the lawyers or the law says. That is essentially the fundamental purpose of a jury, and it's being lost because judges will not even allow defense attorneys to talk about it in the courtroom because they're lawless and they're criminals and they're not upholding their oath. But that doesn't stop the jury from knowing about it. That doesn't stop the jury from acting that way, because the judges aren't going to ask the jury, did you nullify? They're just going to try and keep it from being talked about in the courtroom. So it's important that we talk about nullification out of the courtroom. It's important you know that if you're on a jury, you need to look at justice, and don't let yourself be swayed by what a system of judge and prosecutor and a system of the state, who is all paid in the same way to convince you that you have to find guilty. Don't let that sway you. Find justice, and don't worry about the letter of the law, because that's the point of a jury. That's why we need a jury. If only the letter of the law was what mattered, well, why not just have judges and they just find us guilty and throw away the key? Of course, I'm sure that's what Douglas County officials would love, but we haven't gone quite that far yet. So that's all for now. Keep it up. Keep up the fight, keep up liberty, and let's take America back.